Coming up today, North Korea is set to put on its biggest military parade to date to mark a key political anniversary. But what weaponry will be on show? We have a report. South Korea, China and Japan say they will work on expanding regional financial ties and coordinate their policies to monitor risky developments in the markets. Plus, new images from NASA's New Horizons spacecraft reveal blue skies and water ice on the surface of Pluto. Stay tuned for these stories and more. Hello, it's noon on Friday the 9th of October. You're tuned in to our midday newscast here on Arirang TV. Thank you for joining us. I'm Mark Broome. Our top story this afternoon, North Korea is putting the last-minute touches on what is expected to be a grand military parade in Pyongyang on Saturday to mark the 70th anniversary of its ruling Workers' Party. The regime will almost certainly flaunt its latest weaponry. It could include a submarine-launched ballistic missile and an intercontinental ballistic missile. Kim Hyun-bin reports.
North Korea has a history of revealing new weaponry at its military parades. In April 2012, Pyongyang unveiled its KN-08 intercontinental ballistic missile for the first time. In 2013, the North paraded what is said were miniaturized nuclear weapons inside backpacks, although it was widely discredited by military experts. The parade on Saturday is likely to see another form of weaponry, real or not, make its military debut. Experts are focused on whether North Korea will roll out miniaturized nuclear warheads, which the regime claims to have developed. They are also looking out for evidence North Korea has submarine-launched ballistic missiles that Pyongyang claimed to have successfully tested in May. The missiles could be tipped with a nuclear warhead. If the North had the technical ability to do that, it would represent a dangerous new security threat to the South. North Korea will likely display its KN-09 cruise missile, which has a range of up to 200 kilometers. If fired from the border, Seoul and South Korea's military headquarters in Daejeon will be well within its range.
The North's KN-09 could strike most of our military's runways. Without this ability, North Korea's conventional weapons could potentially overpower us in a conflict scenario.
With the majority of North Korea's latest weaponry and military personnel on display, Saturday's parade will be broadcast live throughout North Korea to show off the regime's military might to the world. Kim Hyun-bin, Arirang News.
Now, efforts to reach a compromise on redrawing Korea's election districts have broken down yet again. Despite a marathon 11-hour meeting on Thursday, representatives from the ruling and opposition parties focused discussions on the actual number of districts, seat distribution by region and adjusting rural constituencies in accordance with their shrinking populations. They failed to reach an agreement on all 3 points. The negotiations follow a ruling by the Constitutional Court last year that ordered that certain districts be merged or divided more evenly to better represent the number of people living in each area. The two sides say they will meet again this weekend in another last-ditch attempt to reach a deal. In its ruling, the Constitutional Court said the redrawing had to be completed by the end of the year ahead of next April's general elections. South Korea, China and Japan say they will work on expanding regional financial ties. They have also vowed to closely coordinate to monitor risky developments in the markets. Seoul's finance chief also called for support for a South Korea-led envisioned Asian Development Bank. Shin Se-min reports.
The finance chiefs of Korea, China, and Japan have agreed to gauge the spillover effects and risks to the regional economy in light of lower-than-expected global economic growth. Meeting on the sidelines of the G20 finance ministers and central bank governors gathering in Peru on Thursday, the three sides discussed ongoing economic developments, including falling growth prospects and the recent market volatility. They also agreed to clearly communicate actions aimed at fostering confidence in their respective financial markets. On top of that, the ministers discussed ways to further develop regional financial cooperation within the ASEAN Plus 3 and said they would work together to ensure financial stability. Korea's Finance Minister Choi Kyung-hwan also asked for China and Japan's support for the establishment of Seoul's envisioned Northeast Asia Development Bank. The bank would be designed to support North Korea's economic development in exchange for Pyongyang's denuclearization with the help of other member nations from the so-called six-party nuclear talks, which include China and Japan. Thursday's meeting was the second between the three ministers this year. The summit is expected to be held in Seoul at the end of this month or in early November. Shin Se-min, Arirang News.
Now, a former White House official says South Korea has a favorable chance of becoming a member of the recently agreed Trans-Pacific Partnership, or TPP, but it will have to wait to join the world's largest trade bloc. Oh Soo-young reports.
For the past few weeks, Korea has expressed keen interest in joining the Trans-Pacific Partnership. However, joining the world's largest trading bloc may prove to be less than straightforward, according to Matthew Goodman, a former White House official. Speaking to a local news agency on Thursday, he said that Korea should be on the top of the list in terms of gaining membership, but that it is too late to join the first round. Having reached the landmark deal this week, it's likely that the 12-member countries will take a year or two to ratify terms before considering new members for the second round. Goodman said Korea should have joined the TPP in the beginning stages of negotiations, as it would have largely benefited from the historic agreement, which accounts for more than a quarter of the world's trade volume. This means Korea will be excluded from the tariff cuts on nearly 18,000 categories and increased access to markets with a combined population of almost 800 million. The former White House official also said that missing out on these benefits will have negative effects on the Korean economy, but are unlikely to be seriously damaging. However, he emphasized it is in Korea's best interest to become a part of the regional bloc. So just what will it take? Goodman says Korea will have to show that it's willing to achieve high standards and substantial liberation. Oh Soo-young, Arirang News.
Now, former FIFA Vice President Jung Mong-jun has released a statement regarding sanctions against him by the World Football Governing Body's Ethics Committee. In the statement released on Thursday, Jung explained that allegations of vote trading have been dropped and that the 6-year suspension handed down was a blatant miscarriage of justice. FIFA President Sepp Blatter, UEFA President Michel Platini and FIFA Secretary General Jehan Volk were also hit, but only with provisional 90-day suspensions. Jung once again expressed his determination to take all measures, including legal action, to expose the wrongdoings within football's world governing body. Now, reports have emerged that 4 Russian missiles aimed at targets in Syria actually came down in Iranian territory. Moscow's defense ministry has refuted the claims, saying the missiles successfully hit their intended targets. Son Jong-in has more.
The Russian government said its forces fired 26 long-range cruise missiles from the Caspian Sea on Wednesday, destroying Islamic State targets in Syria. It made no mention of any missiles going astray, suggesting the operation was fully successful. However, U.S. media reported the next day that as many as 4 of the launched cruise missiles went off course and landed in Iran. They cited 2 unnamed U.S. defense officials who confirmed the claim, first reported by CNN. It was not immediately clear where in the country they landed or if they caused any significant damage. Russia's defense ministry flatly denies the claim, stressing all its cruise missiles hit their intended targets. It slammed the U.S. media for reporting inaccurate or deliberately deceptive statements. Later that day, U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry spoke by telephone with Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, focusing primarily on Syria, but with limited progress made in the discussions.
They had the discussion today about the importance of moving forward on both. But I wouldn't go so far as to say there were actual, tactical level decisions made during this phone call.
Kirby added that the State Department was not in a position to confirm the U.S. media reports. The cruise missile attack on Syria is part of an expanding Russian air campaign in defense of President Bashar al-Assad that began more than a week ago. Moscow says it's targeting the Islamic State militant group, but the West has accused Russia of bombing the legitimate opposition in Syria. 손정인, Arirang News.
Now, most policymakers at the US Federal Reserve continue to expect an interest rate hike before the year is out. According to minutes from the Fed's September meeting that were released on Thursday local time, near-zero rates were held steady last month because of China's economic slowdown and its potential effects on US growth and inflation. The policymakers decided to wait for inflation to gradually move towards the Fed's 2% annual target. However, many policymakers at the Fed anticipated the conditions for raising rates had been met or would likely be met by the end of the year. And economists agree with the officials. Almost two-thirds of respondents to the Wall Street Journal's monthly survey said the Fed will increase rates at its December meeting. Korea's department stores have benefited from a sharp rise in sales thanks to the number of big-spending Chinese tourists flocking to Korea for their week-long National Day holiday. According to Lotte Department Store, the money spent by Chinese shoppers from October 1st to the 7th at its main branch near Seoul's popular shopping district of Myeongdong jumped 38.5% on year from last year. The most popular brand among Chinese shoppers was Cartier, followed by Louis Vuitton, MCM, and the Korean cosmetic brand Seol Hwa-soo. Now, just during the same period, Hyundai Department Store reported a 28.3% on-year rise in corresponding figures, and sales at Shinsegae Department Store jumped 37.7%. Now, foreigners who study the Korean language in their home countries are in Seoul to celebrate Hangul Day, which is today. The week-long program will also take them to cultural sites around Korea and give them the chance to experience Korean food and music. Kim Min-ji reports.
To experience a bit of Korean culture, this group of foreigners is learning the basic patterns of the martial art Taekwondo. Not only are they taking the class in Korea, the language they speak in class is Korean.
고등학교 때부터 한국 드라마 봤어요. 그 드라마 보고에 한국 문화 그리고 한국 음악이 한류 좋아했어요.
The participants are the top students at the King Sejong Institute, a Korean language school with branches all over the world, and they're in the country for a week-long cultural program after winning selection in their home countries. The program, hosted by the Culture Ministry, the King Sejong Institute Foundation, and Arirang TV, is being held to coincide with Hangul Day, which falls on Friday and celebrates the Korean alphabet.
We have invited the top students studying Korean at our institutes around the world to give them the opportunity to experience Korean culture and allow them to use the Korean they've learned.
One of the main events on the program was a Korean speech contest that took place Wednesday. After going through the preliminary rounds in their home countries, 13 students made it to the final round and were given an opportunity to show off their Korean language skills. The competition was intense and the contestants spoke on a range of topics, from their dreams to what they like about Korean culture.
사람들을 즐겁게 해주고 또한 한국과 중국 문화 교류에 기여하는 사람이 꼭 되려고 합니다.
During the one-week program, they will also visit cultural heritage sites in Korea, where they will be able to learn about the Korean history, taste the cuisine, and try their hands on traditional games.
저는 한국 무용을 배우는 그룹에서 있는데 아주 재밌어요. 그런 거. 앞으로는 사물놀이 배웠으면 좀 재밌을 것 같아요.
Program organizers hope that not only will the participants be able to brush up on their Korean language skills during their stay, they will have the opportunity to discover Korea for themselves, with the hope that the experience will strengthen their love for and interest in Korea and its culture. Kim Min-ji, Arirang News.
Now, NASA has released stunning new images of Pluto, revealing the distant dwarf planet has blue skies and regions of red water ice. And this is just the latest in a number of remarkable achievements and discoveries for NASA in the past year. Kwon Jang-ho has the details.
Blue skies, just like home. These are the latest pictures of Pluto sent from the New Horizons space probe. They show the particles in Pluto's atmosphere dispersing sunlight to produce a hazy blue sky. The unexpected discovery has stunned and delighted NASA, with the probe's principal investigator describing it as gorgeous. The colour is helping with understanding the composition of the planet's atmosphere. Photos of exposed regions of red water ice have also been sent back, but NASA's scientists were at a loss to explain the intensity of the colour, saying more research needs to be done. New Horizons was launched in January 2006 and has travelled more than 3 billion miles over 9 years to become the first probe to reach Pluto. It is said to be in full working condition and has been sending back breathtaking pictures of the planet and its moon, Charon, since July. NASA has had a remarkable year. Just 2 weeks ago, it announced the discovery of flowing water on the surface of Mars, increasing the possibility of finding microscopic life on the red planet. There was also the discovery of Kepler 452b in July, nicknamed Earth 2.0, the most Earth-like planet found so far, as well as the Rosetta spacecraft that landed the Philae lander on the surface of a moving comet last November. In recent years, NASA has come under criticism for high costs, failed programs and intangible benefits. But with discoveries and pictures like these, it is helping to reawaken man's imagination and curiosity of the universe. Kwon Jang-ho, Arirang News.
Well, those are the stories we have for you on this Friday afternoon here in Seoul. For more of the latest, don't forget to check out our website, arirang.com/news. And if you're watching us in Korea, do enjoy the 3-day holiday. Goodbye.